about Wylde first here, shall we? I'm going to come to you, Fresh. We're looking at them a little bit differently today than we were yesterday.
Yeah, I think so. I think yesterday we came into this saying, hey, we don't know what this Wylde roster is going to give us because it isn't a Wylde roster that we maybe expected after stage 1. Now, I think everyone didn't know what we were going to get, but didn't expect much. And then they come out and they produce a banger of a performance going up against BDS yesterday. And everyone's opinion has kind of just shifted slightly. It's like, hey, this team can mix it with the best, which means they're going to be a threat to every team in the league. They might not be a top of the table team, but they're going to threaten and be competitive with absolutely everybody.
And it's not only about the score against BDS, I think it's the way they did it. They did it methodically. They did it playing together and with huge mechanical skill as well. One of the things that he noted, they're unpredictable. Nobody knew about this roster. We didn't know about this roster. And they've made a big statement here, taking BDS all the way to overtime. Now I'm thinking they're against an easier opponent here in Ence, and they're looking to confirm that. And this is where I'm interested to see, does it develop, or was it just like one big preparation game?
Well, this is what I found interesting about it, because we see it in all sports, right, Fresh? That big occasion energy. When you come up against that David-Goliath sort of matchup, you find a different gear.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah, you've got nothing to lose. You find something new. Can you show that again? Because that was almost like a final for them, wasn't it, yesterday? You can imagine how they were feeling.
Yeah, it's very easy to put a target on the back of BDS and find that inner energy. You're absolutely right in that. But let's not be about the bush here. Wylde are going to have to find that with everybody, because everybody expected them to lose because they lost all but one game last stage. So I don't think they're going to have any issues getting themselves up for the games. I think where they ran into issues yesterday is they should have beaten BDS, yeah? You agree? And I think they maybe got a little bit excited with themselves. They maybe thought, hey, holy shit, guys, we are in a position to beat BDS, and they started taking risky gunfights. They started not playing as a team, the things that were working well from them at the start, and that ultimately just slipped away. Now, that's a real small critique, considering people were expecting to get 7-0'd yesterday.
Just to pick up on what Leo said there, up against easier opponents, I'm not sure that Ence will be feeling that way. Let's take a look at this roster here. A grim day for them yesterday, Fresh, wasn't it? Secret beating them 7-4. They exited Playdate 1 with their tail between their legs.
Yeah, they really did. I think they had one bright light, and that was Azox. I think, he individually had a great game and individually won them one of the 4 rounds that they managed to pick up yesterday. But apart from that, it really didn't go too well for them whatsoever. I didn't think they controlled the tempo of the game, the pace of the game. Their team play looked off. Their executions looked off. They were trying the same strats twice, no adaptations, no nothing. And I was really disappointed by that.
Yeah, I felt like they were going into this match with a clear game plan. They knew they were facing a secret that was really aggressive. And so what they thought was, okay, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to extend around the map. So we're going to find holes and we're going to lurk around and we're going to try to find easy ways into the bomb site. And that didn't work very well. And where I was surprised is that we knew Ence to be really good in terms of team play, to play well together and to be good at methodical siege. And with LMs joining them, I was thinking, okay, that's another layer of strategy coming from BDS side with him. And I didn't see that yesterday. I didn't see step-by-step and methodical siege.
Ence consider themselves a team that should be challenging for the top 4, challenging for the majors, right?
And so they should.
And so they should. I think every team needs that confidence. But with the way that they lost yesterday, this game here represents a real test, because if they go 0 for 2, let's say they lose this game, that top 4 starts looking like a pipe dream. It starts looking like unattainable. So it's a massive game, massive pressure for them already, and we're only in play day 2.
Chat, what you saying? Are we going to get Lair? Let's find out. Let's get to map pick and bans. Oh, so close.
It was very close. It was very close, all the way at the end. Actually, it's just the last decision. We almost had it, which is interesting, actually, from these two teams that had made roster changes, that they both invested time into building a strong layer, because we all went there. I think what changed is we're going to Chalet, because we have a vote of Ence on Chalet. And I think that what happened is Ence decided to go there in the end.
Yep.
And it's because I think that they took the time with Coach Agdar to lose, watch every round of Secret, and step by step understand what went wrong, and from one day to another, overnight, become really good on the map.
Yeah, they're controlling what they can control. They know they had a stinker yesterday, and I think for all the teams that did have a stinker yesterday, you almost write it off. Like you said, they'll go back, they'll VOD review it, and they'll go, well, if we just did this that made sense, now we're reviewing it outside of the game. If we just did this, and this, and this, we'll have a much better day. So what better chance to just go back on the map that you previously played and improve on it?
EUL Stage 2 is all about change, right? We've got new rosters, we've got a new map. Do not adjust your set when we bring up our casting pair today. Let's get them in here. Can you believe it? We got Dev and Pengu casting EUL. I'm going to come to you first, Dev. how are you doing over there all the way in Australia?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm really excited to get into some EU. It's been, for me, a really long time. Last time I casted European League was way back in 2020. And yeah, love this region, love these teams. I think last time I was casting, Pengu, you were actually playing. And so this is a nice chance to reunite, but this time, of course, on the casting desk.
Pengu, back when you had hair, that wasn't it? Good times.
Yeah, a lot of changes you said, and I mean, I was just saying, Jack, you and I from the ranked trenches now on UL together as well.
Yeah.
I like this, and I'm returning, of course, to Europe, which was my home once.
That's the thing, talking about 2020 as well. Dev casted it, Pengu played, I was obviously coaching, and Pengu relegated me as well. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff going back to 2020 with European Siege.
Pengu, do you still have an invested interest in G2 when it comes to a UL, just to see how they perform?
You know, I spoke to Fabian about this, where it's like, it's always going to feel like a part of us because of how much history we have, how much happened, and how much it was a part of our lives as pro players. Yes, always a big interest. Watching them carefully yesterday, and excited to catch them today against BDS.
And Dev, what's it like working with a world champion of this game?
I'll tell you by the end of today, Ian. I can't say I have any expectations so far.
Leo, any questions for our brand new casting duo here?
You know what? I think that you guys are well paired together. I was super happy to see you come together, and I was especially super happy to see Pengu back in EU. Yeah, I think you, like me, you went to NA, but in a different role. So it's nice to see you again. And I was just wondering, which match, were you expecting the most outside of G2 BDS? Of the 3 other matchups, which one are the most interesting for you?
Oh, I'll go first, Dev, because I actually think that we got it coming up next. I think the Ence Wylde story is also like, you know, yesterday, Wylde almost taking out BDS, but also on the flip side, it's like battle of potential last or the struggle bottom, so to speak. So I think this match will decide a lot for who's going to be down there and who has a chance to go up on the rankings.
Dev, are you excited to eventually, sorry to jump in here, to eventually cast over a little bit of Lair?
I hope so. I think I'm going to be stumbling my way through callouts on that map. I feel like I'm still stumbling my way through playing that map every time I load it up in the server, but I'm really keen to see how the pros interpret it. But to answer your question as well, I just really want to see VP.
Yeah.
They had such potential. Like, this is a roster that's always had such potential. Didn't play yesterday. From being the best non-Brazilian team at the Brazil SI earlier this year to not qualifying to go to Manchester, like, this is the team that I really want to see. And they're going up against Wolves, who are in pretty solid form after winning yesterday.
Yeah, Fresh, I think we've been talking about how we want to see a sort of level playing field across the board when it comes to this stage and our leaderboard here. And VP could be a key component in that journey.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, they obviously won't be happy with how things have gone since Brazil, you know, since what Dev said. They'll be looking for their redemption arc. And honestly, they're a team that we're used to seeing at the Six Invitational. So they need an absolutely huge stage.
All right, guys, we are so excited and delighted to have you part of EUL, and we cannot wait to get into the server and hear your beautiful tones calling all of the action of our first matchup here. Over to you, Pengu and Dev.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, time to get stuck into it. It could be the battle for last, but Nick, after seeing what Wylde managed to pull off yesterday against BDS, I wouldn't be so sure.
No one, I want to say this, you know, Fresh said on the desk that he saw Ence play yesterday and it was not looking too hot and they're repeating strats and being a little bit too simple, he said. And I kind of agree, but with that being said, they're going back to Chalet. You only do that if you have a plan and you know what went wrong, you can change that on the fly. And that's again where Ence, right, the leadership, the veteran that he is, I think he can turn this around and make this look better than yesterday against Secret.
That's right. Both of these teams have had massive roster changes. Both of them really thinking they found the final pieces to their puzzles. And Chalet is a nice reattempt as well for Ence, Nick. We talked about this off stream a little bit before the match started. But yeah, Ence really did struggle here yesterday. But in theory, much easier opponent for them today. And I think they'll be doing everything they can to right the wrongs of their Chalet misery yesterday.
One can sure hope so. And one thing that I was actually looking forward to was, would there be a nuke ban from the side of Wylde maybe? Because, you know, we saw Asox are kind of popping off on that operator, finding those entries, getting a bunch of map control, and that wasn't the case at all. And, you know, usually we say, these operators, it's expected, it's the usual. A blitz ban on Chalet is nothing like that, and that's why I want to just bring it up, because I didn't see this one coming whatsoever.
Clearly these guys know something more than we do with that Blitzbang coming through. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Knock pans out as well, because obviously we've got very soon new patch coming through, a lot of changes to her. You're a bit biased being a Danish operator, but here, you know, Blast is a Danish company, so I always want to see the Dane get some time in the server. Yeah, I want to see Ence get back into this, because I did see some really good moments yesterday, and particularly with that Knock. There was that one round with the sneaky sneak into Kitchen, really ripped the rug out from underneath Secret at that moment, but of course, holistically, yeah, not a good game for Ence. Now they are on the attack to kick off this map. Wylde have gone over to Kitchen Dining, and yeah, I'm really keen. I want to see what these teams have to prove.
Big thing for me here for Ence is gonna be the first 3 or 4 rounds, because the issue that they had yesterday was that a 2-4 attack and half on Chalet. That's just simply not good enough. And they need to find their footing in the first couple of rounds to have some room to make mistakes, room to make adaptations, and make those adjustments, because like Fresh said in the desk, they were doing the same things once too many. So feel it out, getting an idea of what Wylde they want to achieve. Hackbull in the interview said they want to play aggressive, they have good gun players, that's what they're gonna go for. If you expect that, well, I want to see it in the server that they're recognizing that and will go for a counterplay.
For me personally, I'm looking at Wylde and how they go in these opening engagements. Yesterday, they really struggled against BDS. They didn't get a single opening kill on their attacking half, and on their defense, they only found it in 2 rounds. It was Freck who led the way in both of the times, and he has been the top fragger thus far for Wylde, so I'm going to be looking at him a lot as they're just waiting. Ence are the ones looking to go for a clear. Here it is in Library.
See it here. It is a bit of a slow start, but to be honest, again, if you expect aggression, why not counter by holding angles, right? This is Ence saying, hey, let's get a stable first round, drone things up properly, get our players in the correct positions, because you see the outlines on the office balcony, outside bathroom window, there we go, they jump on in, they know it's clear, and they're going to get into an engagement here to start things off.
However, it is Dodo that clinches that kill. Alem goes down, the leadership figure for the squad. Dodo has managed to get back to a relatively safe position as well here, back in the blue stairs. Don't believe there's anyone cutting off from below. I'm not even sure if that drone saw him.
Oh, I love this from Dodo. It's a bit cheeky, right? Typically, when you get this kind of pick early on, you fall back to the bomb side, play your advantage, play that 5 versus 4. They still got the floor above us once at the office and master bedroom, but Dodo's sticking around for a potential late round flank, applies this continuous pressure. If he goes undroned, he'll go for a flank. And if he does get droned, he can kill that, denies the intel, but the drone timing was perfect there. We saw it from Ence. They saw him, they got off the cam, they held the flank, and now it's back to an even 4 versus 4. That early advantage already been lost.
Maybe a little bit antsy there for Dodo. Unfortunate because, as you said, a really strong early advantage for Wylde. And now Ence, as they repositioned, they formed up. You've got this player on the double window here of Master Bedroom, and pressure coming in from Office. Great run out, though. Was that all the way from Trophy? I think it was. And immediately Wylde have turned the tide once again in their favor. 2 versus 4 now. The desperation from Nako and Azix as they start to make their way towards a site. Caught in 4K on that bulletproof camera, though, makes it very awkward. There is a breach onto the site, but Wylde will not give them anything.
They don't quite have tools right now. As you said, the bulletproof camera on bomb site gives that clean-cut information. And sure, Azog's up above, but again, they gotta get inside the bomb site with Nako. Actually, he's gonna go upstairs as well. So Ence doing a double man upstairs. Bomb site is downstairs. Only 20 seconds left in this round.
And there's a rat.
Oh,
Beside the bed. Leighton is lying in wait. He sees one. Oh, almost whiffs it. Whips out the shotgun to finish him off. Looking for a refrag. Nako does get it. And now in a 1v3, time is his biggest enemy, and he's not going to be afforded the opportunity to approach. Good swing from Freck, and Wylde pretty comfortably take the opening defense.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It almost looked like Wylde, they had 2 plans in that round. They had Dodo, who got that opening pick, and then it was told likely, play for your life, go for a risky play if you want to, fall back if you want to. We can play this 4 versus 4 if it goes wrong. And then Wylde's second plan that round was they almost allowed Ence to get into a certain position in the map and then lashed out, jumping out trophy window, going back through garage, lashing out top floor as well at the same time. And that's the big thing here. When ITP, they were a big unknown going into the EUL. Their big strength was aggression together. And while we saw Dodo make a solo play, we saw the rest of Wylde making that play together, and that's why they found success. It's a really strong start for them. And Ence, again, they gotta fill out the first couple of rounds, but then they have to strike back.
Yeah, I'm a little bit scared for Ence. There were good moments yesterday, but I expect them to get more than 4 rounds against Secret. I think it was Jack on the desk said that these guys are expecting that they can be a top 4 team. I think that's a bit of a bold claim, to be frank. You know, this whole X-Team Valor roster got picked up. It's only been a few months now that these guys have been in the tier 1 level, and bringing on a Lems doesn't immediately make these guys a top contending team in Europe. We already have the teams that have been doing well at the start of this year, the underdogs like Secret and ITB stepping up to that next level. And we have old guard teams like VP and G2 that have seen better days, but they're hungry to do better. Not to mention teams like Wylde that, frankly, like after yesterday's performance against BDS, are off to a pretty hot start. So trying to figure out where Ence placed amongst that, I think it's going to be really hard pressed to see them in the upper half of the standings. And they really need to deliver in games like this if they have even a chance of ending up there.
I made my own predictions list like most people before the stage started, before I had seen any of the games, and I'll be completely honest and say Ence didn't make it top 4 in my prediction, and that's simply because, like you said, it's not easy to be top 4 anymore. There are so many good teams. So saying that you're expecting to go there, I do agree with you. I think that's a very big statement. Sure, Lems joins this roster. He can bring some of that BDS magic over, the experience and the leadership, but it takes time to settle into a new team as an individual, especially if he's going to take on more of a responsibility role, because you have to change how 4 people are seeing and playing the game around each other to then either implement the new style of a Lems, or a Lems himself has to adjust to their style instead, probably wanting to speak up a lot because he knows the game very well, but it might hurt them if he does too much because they might not know the way that he knows it.
And as we get through this rehearse, how do we really think this Ence roster can get over the growing pains? Yeah, Lems is a great player. He's won a major before. He's won multiple huge events, not to mention, you know, EWC in the past with BDS. But what can Ence do to really get to that? I guess expedite the process. Because it is quite a disruptive thing to bring in such an experienced player. Because you think about it from a Lems's POV, right? He knows how to play this game. He's been playing for so long with BDS, and he jumps in, he's like, okay guys, where do I begin, right? Yeah. You've had a little bit of that experience, you know, joining up, being a part of PSG, you know, it's kind of crazy, right? You jump in and it's like, these guys are playing such a different game. How do you make that process go smoothly?
I think this is gonna sound kind of silly, and I don't think there's like one way to do it, but I think just running through the trench, so to speak, and just break that awkward barrier of, hey, we're kind of nervous, we're kind of anxious, and what if we make mistakes? Because in that very first round, it looked like a very tensed up Ence to me, where it took a while to get into the first position, and the second went through a first like mini execute, taking library, taking top fireplace, they lost a player. And then they sit still right after. 4 players hop on drones. Again, they're not really moving. Whereas on the flip side of things, while they're also a new team, they picked up a bunch of new players, but they're running around the map, they're laughing on the player cams, they're clearly having fun with it and playing a lot more loose and less strict. And I think it's very hard to be a strict team while you're trying to figure out the process, because there's gonna be mistakes, there's gonna be issues, and it can get a bit frustrating when you go, hey, you ex-player, that was your responsibility to hold that angle, you messed up here. Whereas Wylde's like, hey, was there even a plan? We just walked in and got some kills, you know? It's a bit of frustration versus fun, I feel. Yeah, I mean, vibes are a big deal, especially early on. Come on.
Yeah. 100%. And I'm super curious because like, I've seen a Lems at events before, right? Like, we know what this guy's like when push comes to shove. Big games, big moments, high stress scenarios. Like that old BDS had quite a reputation for how passionate they got. And that didn't always work in their favor. A Lems was a big part of the energy and sometimes the frustration that team faced. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is an online game. This is relatively low stakes. Surely he can just bring this positive energy to this.
Surely. I mean, a lot of it comes down to how you play in practice, right? It's so hard to sit there and go, oh, you know, I'm sure Ence, they're gonna have this playstyle, whatever. It comes down to how they practice every single day in scrims, you know? What kind of mentality they have. If it's a bit of, we're here to learn and just make mistakes, we're trying to win these scrims, we're focusing maybe a lot on Lair, on like the new upcoming operator, on the new map, for example. Or if they're gonna go back and say, guys, let's just learn basics. Let's play like Clubhouse, let's play Bank, like let's just get communication flowing, the drone work, etc. I mean, they've played Chalet back to back. It's not a great start unless, of course, they can find a victory here. Only playing one map, sure, it's great if you're doing good on it, but it's not great if you're doing poorly because it also shows that you might have a really weak map pool.
Yeah, and not to overanalyze the map veto we saw before, Nick, but we all got a little bit excited that maybe Lair would come through because it was their last ban, right? Like, they led it through all the way to the very end and they decided to go to Chalet. But that doesn't necessarily mean they'll actually play it, right? You can have a map and just always plan to use it as your last ban. They could just be pretending that they play Lair. So maybe, yeah, they are really cruxing on Chalet here, which would be disappointing with how it went yesterday. And of course, how it's gone so far in their first round. But let's flip it over and talk about Wylde, because maybe I'm biased because I love an underdog story, but these guys are pretty exciting. Pretty tantalizing prospect for me, right? Opening game, you're going against the team favorites, BDS, and not only did they perform really well, but they almost won. They stole a point away from BDS. It was an 8-7 loss for them. They stumbled a bit at the end, but phenomenal performance, considering that this is essentially like a ragtag of 5 players that haven't really played together before. Like, yeah, Dodo and Packball have been on this roster in the past, but they've kind of more recently been loaned out. This is essentially like a fresh start for this 5. And officially only been a roster for 6 days, by the way.
Nice.
But here they are, and already looking pretty solid. And like they've really earned their place in this league.
I mean, I always love it because they got a good introduction into the EUL, where I think a lot of people are like, they're going to be the worst team. There's no shot they're going to do well.
They got named on hardcore,
exactly.
Right?
And to be fair, in a way it's justified, because if you look from the outside, how are these 5 players gonna amount to anything? How are they gonna beat a good team like BDS? And how are they gonna learn the game when they just run around and shoot people and they don't have the brains for it? But that's the thing. I think you can have 5 quote-unquote crazy players like Frek, Dodo, Leighton, and Croc if you have a brain player like Packball. Now, I don't know all these players too well, so maybe there are some other brain players, but someone like Frek, straight out of ranked. Like we see right here, he will spawn peek, look for crazy plays. Dodo last round, we saw it from him playing overly aggressive, but if you have the brains in the back to rein them in and align things together, I think this could really be a good combination for success.
And so we are back into the game. Hooray. Where was that spot? I think it was the Azami. Leighton got spotted out. I think he's safe for now, but they're looking for a way to pinch him. Players on the solar balcony. The fire comes out, but he still gets away with a kill. That's so unfortunate for Skies. He was in position. He was meant to be the cutoff player, but he himself lost his life early.
Damn, that was such a good mini play from Ence though. They used one capture fire on the door to master bedroom to force the movement of Leighton, but there's again this tiny miscommunication, mistiming, which then ends up them costing a player instead of getting that opening pick. What I will say, the friends, they did this quickly, they did it effectively, they just happened to be in the wrong end of this. And it kind of gets worse though, because they're attacking bar. And this is a bomb set where you want self-destruction, you want the manpower, you want good guns facing the enemy's direction. Starting off 4 versus 5, really poor for this side. Good news though, they got the Florist, the Capital, and the Ash, so plenty of util to go around for later on.
But it comes down to decisions, right? In this mid-round, exactly half the round has elapsed, and they need to figure out how are we going to clear Mezzanine, how are we going to clear out Library. And it is a rotation here from Nako, who might actually get a freebie. Indeed, he does. Frek, a little bit too antsy there. He didn't realize he exposed himself to that angle, and the door is now ajar.
Mind you right now, Diffuser is not on any players, it's on the ground, so if Ence keep walking forward and extending attack and Library, you might realize, guys, we left something very important behind us near the Astro Master Bedroom area. But 1 minute left. They're making pretty good progress, especially with that pick earlier on. All they got left now is top mezzanine and top blue staircase. Ence, they can do a 3-2-1 countdown, throw in the util, and take this map control.
A lot of util to speak of, though. No flashes to work with at the moment. And Wylde find 2 more picks. It's an unfortunate turn of events for Ence. They're looking pretty much like the round is over. Unless we can see something big from Rykos, and that will certainly help.
Here's the start that they needed. But 30 seconds to go, and again, all that util we spoke about, it's not ready here any longer. 1 fire, 1 smoke. Use it on the hats for a drop in maybe, but no, he's gonna drop down instead. Last fire, last piece of util, 15 seconds. Look at the diffuser. It's all the way in master bedroom, by the way. They completely forgot about it.
Yeah, good pick from you early on. They have to go for kills now, but yeah, it's not really happening, hey? Packball doing what he does best, and Dodo with a nice Keratos swing at the end of it. Really solid defense there. A little bit of a loss for Ence on the attack. Once again, that's 2 rounds in a row where they lose the opening pick and, to be honest, lose their wits. What was that end round?
I don't believe it was the Sophia on Master Window Rappel who had diffuser case, because it looked like it was pretty like far up on the map, like second floor, top floor, so to speak. And if Sophia died with it, it would have dropped down to trench instead. So it must have been a conscious/unconscious decision to say, hey guys,
like,
I'm gonna
go for a kill. Let me drop the diffuser real quick. And forget to pick it up later.
I mean, this happens in ranked, in scrims, in Pro League, and this is the thing that happens when you are a new team and you're trying to focus again on all those small fundamentals. You're gonna make a mistake somewhere, and when they realize that they did in fact not have diffuser, someone's gonna go, guys, whose responsibility was that, and why didn't we have it? Now, in this round, it was like a 2v3/1v3 at the end. It's not the end of the world, but it speaks to the kind of small steps that Ence they're missing in their round that ultimately will punish them over and over again as they keep happening.
5 seconds left.
Just disappointing to see Ence have like great ideas, like you said at the start of last round. Nice little pinch from Solar and from Master, and yet the inability to actually convert any of those potential advantages. Like, they're just losing picks early on, not doing a great job of trading them. I think Wylde have read into, look, we can just be slippery little snakes, and Ence will live pretty much dumbfounded. And so we've got Dodo here on the Boss G on the Vigil. Like, this is the perfect slippery snake operator.
Oh, you and I were watching the, I think it was a highlight reels from yesterday, and we saw some spawn peek and Boss G action. Don't recall the exact player, but it's just one of those, you know, I hate this gun. I really hate this gun. You peek someone, they shoot you one time in like the toe, you're basically dead. But that's why it's so strong. High risk, high reward. James, I can't use it at all, but some of these players are so goddamn accurate, they can get a kill every single bullet.
Yeah, it's funny because it's not like it's received a buff recently or anything. Like when we saw the scope changes, like, it got magnified scope, but aside from that, it's pretty much the same old. A little bit of an aggression here, perfectly timed. Dodo goes straight in for it, peeking the balcony onto Skies. Well timed. Nice little bait as well from the player on the mezzanine itself. Speaking of the devil, Croxon finds his kill and fades on away. It's going from bad to worse for poor Ence. They are looking completely lost.
This is so good though for a while. They're making these mini plays constantly, like squads of 2 basically. Whereas Ence, they're trying to entry alone, they're breaching walls, they're trying to do step 1 for Ence, while they're being destroyed on step 2 and 3. So they're completely in desynchronization right now, whereas Wylde, they are locked in and they are loaded. That's too easy.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing at this point. The roamers cannot be addressed. Wylde are just running amok around Chalet, and Ence look completely unable to dismantle them. Azox is now desperately just checking every single corner as he moves in 2 floors away from the bomb site. His position revealed as well thanks to the camera. I don't even think we saw the snowmobile breach go off, by the way, because it was mute jammed right at the start of the round. This has been, I don't know, almost unsalvageable for Ence.
Well, they got it in the end, but it took maybe a little bit too much time. I mean, also for Azox, I mean, he was, what, 15 kills yesterday, I believe, at least getting, like, the significant portion of the kills happening. And right now, on 0 kills, since the rehost at least, not really doing too hot. And also, yesterday he played Nurk, he was in the map entering, now he's playing a more supportive operators, playing Nomad here, for example. This is not what Ence wanted, but it's what they're getting. A 2v5 with 20 seconds left, you gotta walk down the staircase, a walk in the breach, and there is a mirror window to stare you down.
And there's the diffuser once again, so the round is done and dusted. Croxon's had a huge one here on the Mozzie as well, running amok with this Roni. He wants to actually jump out and get this last one. And look, to be honest, he might actually be able to make it work as well. If he pre-fires and looks out right, nah. Come on, go for it, mate. Disappointing end to the round, but disappointment has been the name of the game for Ence. Wylde looking pretty much untouchable on this defense so far, which, to be fair, is not dissimilar to what we saw yesterday against BDS on Nighthaven.
No, so James, how many rounds do you personally feel like you can gift your opponent before you start trying? Because I feel like 3 is pushing it here, no? When's
Chalet attack?
Coming?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really feel like you should maybe 1, maybe 2, but Chalet, like, you should be fighting for 3 or 4 attacks, I reckon.
Yeah.
And look, meta changes all the time, and how attacker or defender side of the map is can vary on a lot of factors. But yeah, I'd be pretty surprised to not see a stronger performance on attack than this. But the real red flag, Nick, is just how bad these attacks have looked. Like, it's not the fact that they're just losing them. they just look atrocious. Like, there's just, like, look, not saying I would do any better. I'm no good at this game anymore, but like, these guys don't, like, they're trying ideas and it's just falling flat immediately. Like, there's just not even inches that they're managing to get. They can't even move into step 2 because step 1 is being thwarted by Wylde.
I said earlier on how, you know, you play a couple of rounds, you adapt on your feet, and then you gotta make that switch happen. This is like the final moment, at least for the attacking half for Ence, where they have to now show us that they've gone through the bomb site rotation, they've seen the idea from Wylde, which has been pretty similar 3 rounds in a row. They gotta make adjustments of their own. And Ence, they do that. They blow up their attacker lineup, right? Now the Nuke comes out, and the Ying, more aggression with the Dokkaebi for roam clear. This is excellent. But look at Wylde. They are one step ahead. They're playing Tubarao, Kaid, Castle, Lesion, Asami. They are playing utility. They are playing wall deny. They're gonna play likely in anchored, safe positions with crossfires. So all of a sudden, the Nuke, not that effective. The Dokkaebi might not be all that effective, at least for the roam clear portion. The Ying, of course, can be, but you still gotta get to the point where you can go for a bombs that execute before the Ying truly gets all the value that you can get in a round.
Definitely have a feeling that these goo mines from Lesion will also come into play in the late round, especially when it comes to thwarting things like Azox's Nook, which you mentioned already. Looks like Ence are just toying with the idea of trying to find some opening, some opportunity, and Azox is actually going to make his way all the way down. And the second logic bomb from Dokkaebi rings on out. He needs to capitalize on this moment.
Oh, never mind. Shut down. That's the exact path that Azox took yesterday, by the way. Read and shut down immediately.
Yeah, and so Wylde have once again dominated here, and Ence basically doubling down on this. Like, they're saying, look, we've just lost a few players. We have to try and collapse now. And to their credit, they actually managed to do a little bit of that. Sky's made his way in through bar. He's going to hack the dead body of Croxton. He's going to have to pull on back a little bit, though. Now, there's no control for the top floor here for Ence, which makes things a little bit awkward. And at a numbers disadvantage, it may be too risky to go for it.
They need Azox to get that opening pig and create chaos in the server. He couldn't do that. Now they're locked out of the building. Don't have upstairs. Don't have side control. They still have a bit of time to work with, but they have to find at least 1 or 2 more bodies here. Packbull stayed upstairs. That could be one of them.
Good flash, but Packbull dodges it very deftly. 1v4 now. A couple of players low HP, but Nako's got to deliver. Otherwise, it's 0-4 down for Ence. You can potentially isolate some of these fights, though these players on the top 4 are trying their best to create these crossfires. Diffuser, of course, is a long way away. There's a C4, just misses him. Come on, surely find the first one. Players shooting him through below. The Tubarao tossing out the canisters at him.
Oh my god.
Not giving you many opportunities, Packbull. This is so cheeky. Poor Nako here. Can't find anything. There we go. 1 kill, but Freck from below will trade. Packbull very happy with himself on that one, and it's 4 straight for Wylde.
As our lovely host Ian likes to say, to Fresh, the biggest brain in the game, Ence tend to do the same thing too often, and I think that round might just have been it, because I saw the Arbiter lineup. I didn't really want to predict what I thought they were going to do in my own head, because they could really do anything. They're a new team, but they did more or less the exact same thing as 24 hours ago, where they take Azox and Nuke in basement and will walk up into West Main. There was a barbed wire, there was verticality, and there was a defender holding an angle the entire time, despite the castle barricade on the bathroom window being opened right before. They knew what Ence was going to do, and they shut it down before it even started. And this is again a lack of depth, which, to be fair, is expected from a newer team. I'm not going to criticize them too much for it, but I will say it speaks volumes to how well Wylde they have prepared for this matchup and said, you know what, we see Chalet might actually be happening in our prediction. We're going to study it, we're going to be ready for it, and if it does in fact occur, we have the notes to counter the attacks from Ence, which also were poor yesterday.
Been really impressed by Wylde, but just for a moment, let's touch on Ence, as this is their tactical timeout, and they've had about a minute to discuss what they need to do. At this point, I don't know, like you've pointed out that these guys are known for doing the same thing over and over, and we saw that with the Nook trying to sneak up from the garage up the West Main stairs, and we've seen it yesterday, and it's been read well by Wylde. What can Ence do? 0-4 down on their attacking side, 2 final chances to get something on the board before we switch.
I hate saying this, but I feel like this is a classic issue that one operator can actually do a lot about. but it's not great on this map of Chalet. It's Monty. It brings you so much that I'm such a sucker for Monty. I feel like he solves all my problems in life, actually. But like, think about it, right? You struggle on getting inside the building, Monty helps you there. You struggle in the mid-section of the map because you fall apart when you start getting flanked and start swinging you out, Monty fixes that. You struggle getting down in the future, Monty helps you there too. He deals with all of these various issues. Now, it does require a really strong and efficient multiplayer, which Ence might not have, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. And secondly, you have to really buy into that entire idea as a team. And look at how Wylde is setting this up. All of this utility, the long lines of sight, the soft destruction, that would count to the Monty pick. So I don't really, in actuality, think that Monty would solve their issues, so to speak, but it would give them at least more safety, a bit more information to work with. In all reality, I think what they're doing here is better. The Finger, the Capital, the Ying, good guns, self-destruction, get players comfortable perhaps in the server, and just again try and get people on the scoreboard, because Ence is falling behind, Azog's falling behind, both seen on 0 kills since the rehost.
The funny thing is, Wylde, even though they are quite known for playing this aggressive roamy style, they also know when to just chill. See, that's an opportunity that just went begging. Ence didn't overcommit to the peak because he didn't want to lose his life, but realistically, Croxton should be dead. That should be a 5v4 for Ence. And on a map like Chalet, you get one pick from a mistake of a rotation like that, and it completely changes the dynamic of the map. Suddenly, you can like 5v2 certain parts of the map, like taking control.
No.
And instead, we're falling into frost mats here, like Azog has just done. I mean, Ence are looking scared, they're looking confused, and now they're being minced up by these cameras as well from the Maestro. The Evil Eyes are doing a little bit more damage in combination with the Frost Traps. Like, this is seriously deadly.
I love this. Again, playing the util game with a strong weapon with the LMG in hand if they push the bomb side. Again, the Frostmaster, the Castle Barricade. So making Ence work with different things. But hey, hold on a second. They got their first opening kill.
I mean, it's nice for Rykos, but he's immediately traded and there's no one else to back him up. However, Nyko does the same thing and then a trade again. So awkward 3 versus 3, but this does look like the best opportunity we've seen so far for Ence to get around on the board. As I say that, Dodo finds another, traded back again. 2v2, things are coming down to the wire. As Wylde look to peel on back, Freck is down below, but now he's used his C4. With the bomb site up in Master, it looks like there might be a chance for Ence to break through.
See how they play it. They gotta wait for Freck to get back upstairs to play that 2v2 out. Bomb goes down, cover is there, but Ence has to go huge in this 2v1.
Ence has got a cover. He hasn't been revealed, and so he finds the first one coming in for a trade, and Freck gets it, but Ence, stalwart, in the moment, he will find the 1v2 that his team needs to finally get around on the board.
So close, right? But you're right, that was the best looking round so far, even in that kind of weird 3v3, 2 versus 3 situation for them. And the big thing that was different was they actually executed together. It was not one person dying and then no follow-up. Ence got the opening pick, they got traded back immediately. Then Ence get another kill, they get traded back immediately. This was the attackers actually attacking the bomb site, and the defenders having to respond instead. Whereas before, it was attackers trying to enter the building and getting shot down immediately. So that's the adaptation that they made. They finally got to it. They got their first round, but yesterday it was a 2-4 attack in half. At best, they can match that same score, but they would have to go absolutely huge on defense to have a realistic shot at bringing this back.
Attackers are activating the diffuser.
Yeah, bottom line is that Ence really need to win this next round as well. And the fact that it came down to a 1v1 for them to even scrape their first attack is a very poor sign. They need this, and then they need to have a really strong defense half as well. If there is any shining light for Ence, Nick, it's the fact that we look at Wylde yesterday, and they actually did not look very pretty on their attacks, right? They did manage to win 2 attacks, but it was very close that they managed to do that, and they actually didn't get a single opening pick on their attacking half of Nighthaven. Now, very different map, Nighthaven to Chalet, but I think Ence will find themselves a lot more comfortable when they move into the second half. That doesn't change the fact that they still need to win this to have this round to have a chance at coming back in the second half.
I really like this attacker lineup as well. This is gonna be like back to basics, back to like step 1, step 2, step 3 of Rainbow Six Siege. We see this actually in ranked very often, what we're seeing right now. It's Statue Thermite, they go main breach on Snowmobile Garage. They pop that open immediately. That applies a bit of pressure onto the bomb side. That means the roamers, they gotta get a little bit closer perhaps. Then you have 4 players rotate all the way across the map to West Main, Kitchen, Trophy, and Car Garage. And we see here on Trench as well. Now you breach the back portion of the bomb site. Once you breach all of these walls, the roamers have to circle in and play very close around it. Now there's 2 choice, friends. Either you walk up into Kitchen Dining, you fight the roamers, or you simply hit the bomb site because you're gonna be 5 against 3, or maybe even 5 against 2. It's right there.
Yeah, him and
I
Dodo
don't think they know.
mistakenly around the corner from each other, but neither of them looking at each other's angles. You are dead on right though, Nick. Like, this is perfect from Ence to put the pressure on the roamers to fall back, and it's already had that effect. Dodo's come back into Trophy, and now Rykos is watching his position. He is quite vulnerable. There are a couple of different angles that he could be swung from. And there is support as well from a player in Master. That is Freck on the mirror. This is quite nice from Wylde. They're not being baited into moving just yet.
Yeah, you're right. They're playing the middle line very excellently right now, and I believe the dining hatch must be open as well because that enables Ence to not just go for a straight plan, but look at this. They got the yellow ping and they got the shots to hit as well.
Yeah, really nice shot there from Rykos, but Dodo doubles down. Good trade eventually, but he has certainly made this roam worth its weight. Ence do have a chance, and is that player able to fall on back? Nice attempt at a re-aggression there from Wylde. It seems to have been red. Look, Ence still have a pretty good look in to win this round. Their advantage has fallen away. As I say that, another peek comes through. Another shot! Leighton is putting the team on his back. It's all up to Nako in the 1 versus 2. His defenders are separated. He does have the diffuser. He can toss out the flashbang and use that to cover the sound of the plant. Croxon saw him for a moment, and he knows the plant was a fake. A reposition now. And a second attempt. Looking for a bait. This is perfectly played by Wylde. They know they've got the numbers advantage. They know they don't have to make the first move. And so Nako has to go deep. But he doesn't know how to isolate these fights. He doesn't know where they are. He's looking completely lost. First kill, 3 seconds to get this diffuser down. But Croxon has the time to come in and deny the plan. And indeed, Wylde will find their 5-1 half.
Oh, again, it's so close, but there was hope for Ence. Ence on the Kali on the main breach got the first pick, but a small mistiming for Ence meant that there were isolation. Ence got picked off, and Leighton had time enough to turn around 180 degrees and get a second follow-up kill towards the trench breach as well. That small bit of mistiming enabled Wylde to get back into the bomb set safely and just lock it down. Beautifully played in the 2 versus 1, playing for time, ripping C4s, having a crossfire, and forcing Ence into a very awkward position. It's a 1-5 half. Ence, it was 2-4 yesterday. It's 1-5 today. A great early look in the round, but Dodo with those 2 picks, like you said, made that roam worth it.
Yeah, and Leighton as well came through with 2 big ones. Near the end, eventually traded, but beautiful work from Wylde. They're looking very happy about that. Dodo, cool, calm, and collected. What a game it has been for him. What a game for the whole squad. 8-2, by the way, on Dodo, so he's had probably his best game. I don't know, you'd probably say that this is one of his best games he's ever played. Yes, he had a pretty solid match yesterday.
Game.
I mean, yeah, well, his second game yesterday, he did get 8 kills. He had 14 deaths. He was actually the bottom fragger on his squad. But, like, obviously, I mean, best game he's ever played. Like, take into account his history playing before joining EUL. This is probably, like, the height of his career so far. He is in amongst it.
But that's such a good look, right? Like, you're a new player, you know, probably a bit nervous, probably very nervous, to be honest. And, like, you're up against some pretty big names. Like, you're up against Ence right now, right? This guy's a legend in his own right. And you're just running around like it's a, I don't want to say a rank game. It's not, I don't mean this like disrespectfully, but he doesn't have a lot of nerves in the server. Like you said, he was like not overly moving on the roam. He knew where his lines were, when to push them, and which fights to take, and when to take them. And that's something that a lot of current pro players who've been up for a very long time, they sometimes struggle with. I personally find that very difficult to understand the exact line on the roam where you're playing too aggressive versus too passive. But Dodo, he found it multiple rounds on their defense up.
He's been killing it. However, as we've seen from Wylde, attack and defense are 2 very different stories. We saw it on Nighthaven. They didn't find a single opening kill on their attacking half, though they did find 2 rounds. One of them was a Freck 1v2 And had Freck not found that 1 versus 2 and a 4K, by the way, in the round, then Wylde wouldn't have actually managed to push to overtime against BDS. So this is really where this team is tested. You know, it takes one thing to be good at roaming and good at winning defenses, but something completely different to be good on the attacking side. As I think they've done a pretty good job at forcing some of these roamers back, Ence.
Yeah, I think Freck has found a gap because the player side of Dining was trying to watch the blue staircase, but looked away for like 2 seconds. And look at the player positions. They have no actual info on blue stairs. Sure, there might be a player rotating there at some point, or a blue with cam overseeing it possibly, or a piece of barbed wire. But for the time being, at least for a second to go, there was a gap.
Opening pick for Wylde. It's the first opening pick this team has got this stage on the attack.
Hey!
And can they convert it though? We'll find out. They're looking in hot form today, and Freck also had an opportunity here in blue stairs. He's really putting that pressure onto Ence. He's actually an aggressive Nako here who almost is able to find a pick, and now he's caught in a bit of an awkward position where he has been revealed, and a flash will force him on back. Croxon punishes for a second kill. Things are looking extremely grim for Ence as Wylde have absolutely turned it up here. 20 seconds to play though, which does put the pressure onto Wylde to confirm this advantage they've had. And guess who's back? It's Alems with 2 big kills. The Croxon finding his third does leave it just up to Alems now in a 1 versus 3 as Wylde look to try and close. And they do find map point so early in this match.
Someone please help Alems, man. He's fighting his demons in trench, left, right, above him and behind as well. The bombs is falling apart. And I actually think that when you talk about players and getting kills on the scoreboard, it's an easy way to judge good player or bad player, sure. And let's imagine Packbull had 0 kills this match so far. If you look at that previous round, he gets so much value. He's jiggling West main staircase, just trying to bait for intel for Croxon, was playing in trench. Packbull saying, I'm not gonna value my own life in this server at all. I'm just gonna walk down and enable my teammate to get something going. Worst case, I die, he trades me, we go for 1-for-1. That's completely fine. Best case, which happened, Croxon finds 2 or 3 kills off Packbull just baiting. And sure, he dies to Alems eventually, but look who got the round. It wasn't Ence.
No, it certainly wasn't. And it begs the question, Nick, like, did we underestimate Wylde? Did we overestimate Ence, or is it a little bit of both? Yeah. Because I'm going to call him out again, like, fresh on the desk, said that Ence is going to be a top 4 team. Mate, certainly not looking like it right now. If Wylde are meant to be the bottom of the barrel, then where does Ence sit right now? Because this team that has formed for about a week, a ragtag of players who have never played at this level before, with the exception of Packbull, Wylde are looking bloody great right now, and they're starting to win me over, to be honest. I want to see more of this.
Oh, the thing is, it's fun and it's exciting the way they're playing the game. That's what I like about it. Like, you can be a hardcore dedicated viewer and say, you know what, they're playing clean game of Siege, sure. But you can be a more newcomer to Pro League perhaps, or a more casual-ish viewer, and you go, you know what, like, it just looks fun what they're doing, and you can clearly tell they're having so much fun in the server as well as they're doing it. Now, when you're doing well and finding success, it's easy to keep the spirits high and have a good time about it. And I think that enables them to stay creative and to stay, like, in the flow state, if you will. My question is, if Wylde starts to struggle, what will happen? But they're gonna go beside right now.
Very early, 35 seconds into the round, already in the building. Croxon to find the opening kill again for Wylde. Betting another one to come and peek him. And he almost finds it. Nako now looking to get aggressive. He needs to find this pick, but he doesn't find anything. Croxon going on deep with the R4C, finds his second pick of the round. And this is massive from Wylde. They're cleaning house. Oh, no. Ence look completely dismantled. A flawless round and an end to the game that sends us wildly to a 7-1. These guys are looking unstoppable. Ence put to bed.
Unstoppable, and it looks so much fun again, right? That's the good old ranked rush. Jump in bathroom window, big window repel, trophy cut off with the rotations. We saw a pistol kill come out as well, while showing us the sides where they can play strategy, they can play utility, but also they can play fast, rush, execute perfectly.
That was a crazy game. Like, I can't believe Wylde are meant to be the team that sits at the bottom of the standings, and here, what they did to Ence, I'm not even sure that we can show here on stream, but we'll send it back to the desk to break it down.
Devin Pengu, thank you very much. Wylde cooking on gas, Ence in tatters. We had a lot of question marks at the start of Play Day 1 when it came to Wylde. We had different kinds of question marks over their heads coming into today. They're proving all the doubters wrong, Fresh.
Yeah, I think it's really reaffirmed that yesterday wasn't just a fluke performance against an out-of-sorts BDS. This is a Wylde that they play simple siege. They play close together. They make the right decisions at the right times. They're not trying to overplay. They're not trying to do anything fancy strategically. They're just there, allowing their opponents to make the mistakes and making sure they don't make mistakes of their own and converting it into round wins and ultimately a dominant win.
You see here in the highlights how important it was for them to contest consistently, like the kill just here. Again and again, they were trying, especially in defense, to be in the face of the opponent, to not let Ence set up. Because if you take a look at the way Ence were playing here, they actually changed stuff in the attacks compared to yesterday. They tried to be way more methodical, to be step by step. But Wylde played around their strength. They have incredible talent on that team. Talent that flew under the radar. Talent straight from tier 2, but incredible mechanical skills from Dodo, from Croc, from Leighton even with his MJ11. And all of those were playing really hard to be impactful early in the round and then fall off back to the bomb site and play well together. Look at this retake even here on the Chalet. They do it together. It's amazing. Yes, there are some beautiful shots, but most importantly, they play together. And that's the most impressive for me, the discipline and the team play.
And like we said, the community, you know, players, teams, when we spoke to teams about expectations, everyone was writing Wylde off. We were a little bit hesitant to do that on this desk.
Yeah.
Because we were saying, hey, we just don't know at this point. And I think we've got a really good barometer now of the last 2 games that Wylde have played. They've put in some solid performances. And I think, actually, when we speak to them, they might even be disappointed that they lost that game yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to them. I think that unpredictability could it become more predictable going forward now?
100%. Because if you look at the way they've played this match, it's very similar to the way they played against BDS. Same storyline. You go early in the round, you be in their face. You prevent them to go in the building. You do that together, either with information or with the backup. Dodo always had a backup with him to trade him, to get away safely. And what I mean by getting away is after the first 30 seconds or a minute, they will go back to the bomb site. One might go and lurk to put pressure on the team, but every time they will play safe and well together in crossfire. It's very similar, and there's plenty of ways to counter it. Maybe you abuse the KIB, maybe you bring a shield. I think we're going to see teams adapt to them in the long run if they don't change playstyle.
Is there an argument that they're in the honeymoon period? Fresh?
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Of course there is. This team was put together, you know, quite recently in terms of the players putting together this Wylde roster. Of course they're in that honeymoon phase, but it's about how long can they extend it? Can they really start believing in themselves? I think previous iterations of Wylde rosters, we've seen them kind of just accept that they were the bottom of the barrel of the league. This team doesn't look like they accept that whatsoever.
Wylde fans, Wylde players, screenshot this. You might want to set it as your wallpaper. Who knows? They could continue this run for a long time. Time will tell, but right now, Wylde sitting prettily at the top of the table.
That wasn't expected. Okay, let's be fair. They have had 2 matches. But, I mean, just having like almost a win against PDS to a crazy 7-1 win here. Who would have thought in any scenario that Wylde would be able to pull off a 7-1 win even in this stage? I don't think many people predicted that. So I'm really happy about them. And the same thing that I said in the pre-match. It's great to see them develop throughout the stage against better and better opponents. Ence is struggling right now. I'm waiting to see Wylde against a really good opponent, other than BDS that was fresh from EWC.
Who's your standout player from this matchup?
It was Dodo for me. He was absolutely excellent. I thought he was all over the place in terms of the kills. You're going to see a little kill highlight package here. Still think he's got a little bit to learn positionally. Once he gets a kill, sometimes he's giving his life up a little bit for free. But look at that, KD 11 to 3, 2 entry kills, 100% cost. He actually put a little tweet out, you know, towards the talent because, and I'm going to call him out, Fabian last stage called him doo-doo. And I think we're seeing this stage, he is not doo-doo whatsoever. He's been a vital part of this team. He obviously went out on loan into Tier 2 in the summer. He's come back, and he's come back better for that. And he's now a mainstay of this team.
Well, Dodo is absolutely flushing any of his opponents down the toilet. And now we've got Packbull standing by, ready for a bit of a conversation here. Packbull, congratulations on another incredible performance. This time you managed to get the win. I just first want to briefly reflect on yesterday. That was a bit of a roller coaster ride of a matchup for you guys.
Yeah, to be honest, coming into it, we were being pretty humble to ourselves, and you know, saying honestly, like this is a game we shouldn't win. So I think when we started to get the lead and when we were on match point, maybe pressure started to creep in. After all this, that was the first EUL game for the majority of the team. so pressure is natural. But today was a lot more relaxed, so that was nice.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to touch upon actually. Just looking at you guys' cam, you were looking like you had a lot of fun. And that's honestly, yesterday, if you say you had pressure, I think early in BDS you also had a lot of fun. It seems like you have a lot of energy and positive attitude. And in the way you play, I kind of feel like I'm seeing Beast Coast again in Manchester with crazy momentum. Can you tell me where this energy is coming from in a team that was put together quite late, in the off-season?
Yeah, so we've only been together for about maybe 3.5 weeks, so not a long time at all. The energy just comes from everyone, really. Like, I don't think there's anyone that's like a quiet guy in the team, whether it's like in the round or like in general. Like everyone's talking a lot, having fun. So it doesn't come from anyone in particular. It's just everyone, I think, gels pretty well together and is having a lot of fun when we play. So
well, you took BDS.
Ask for anything better.
Sorry to jump on you there. You took BDS right to the wire yesterday. This time round, stomped Ence. Do you think you can ride this wave against even more, well-polished and well-rounded opponents later on when you come up against some real top dogs here?
Well, if we can do it against BDS, we didn't quite make the win, but we got up 7 rounds. If we can do like those kind of performances against BDS, then I think there's no other team that's better than them in the league. So I don't see why not, basically.
I think speaking about you especially, I think before you were a really strong voice in the team, and now you have Leighton as a new IGL. How do you adapt to that? What's the dynamic into the team? And also, do you still have a strong voice and help shot calling?
Yeah, so Leighton's primary IGL, and yeah, there's nothing else to really say. He's doing the majority of the IGLing. Of course, I'm the secondary voice, so I call where I need to, but most of the attacks are coming from him. Most of the attacks that are either called on the fly or on theory are from him. So he's having a big input on to how we're attacking, and so far it's working really well for us. So pretty good.
Just finally and briefly from me, Packbull, just before I let you go, is there any part of you that enjoys proving doubters wrong? I know you're a very chilled out, modest and humble guy, but do you enjoy that a little bit?
I mean, to be honest, like, I don't really focus too much on what people say on social media and stuff. Like, it can be funny sometimes, like Shaiko's tweet yesterday. I'm sure everyone saw it. But for me, I just want to win. If people are doubting us or not doubting us, it makes no difference to me.
You want to win? You just did. Congratulations. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you for the next play day. Thank you very much, Packbull.
Thank you very much. See you next play day.
See you next play day. But we've still got plenty more to come on this play day. Play day 2 is all kicking off, and we've got a team that we haven't seen perform here in stage 2 yet. VP up against Wolves. Don't go anywhere.